Hey there. Just wanted to show my face on this channel again. Um, what's really interesting about being a tarot reader and a tarot collector, as you may or may not see. Oh, and by the way, I will be vaping during this vid because it's my freaking life and I can do what I want. Is that sometimes we experience deck overwhelm. I know that there's a lot of videos regarding this topic right now, and I kind of was suffering from it. And I've been sitting with it for a while, and it's a little gift from me to you. So this is going to be part of 12 days of giftmas. 12 days of giftmas. I'm never doing this again, honestly. But so this is going to be a story of collecting, trying to declutter. This is also going to be a story about snobism in the tarot community or in the divination community. I only had a Marseille deck and a Rider-Waite pocket deck that wasn't even complete, that had a misprint for the longest of times. I've had my first deck, which was a Marseille deck, and I don't even know if I have it here. I don't think I do. I actually think it's at my other house. I've had my Marseille deck for 15, 16, 17, 18 years. I've had my pocket Rider-Waite, which I've since discarded because I found out that it was incomplete because I didn't know shit about the cards, so I didn't even know it was missing or it had duplicates of cards. For, let's just say from my 18th till my 28th would be 10. I'm 33 now. You do the math. 23 years. So, is that right? 13 years. I can't do math. And I did know of the existence of other decks, but I knew them to be oracle decks. And I was pretty apprehensive about them, especially during the time that I did visit metaphysical stores. They were mainly decks revolving around aliens. Aliens? Oh my god, I can't speak. I'm having so many mini aneurysms in my brain. I've been having so many of them lately, guys. Like, not aliens. Wish they were about aliens. No, angels. And for some reason, I had a lot of problems with those cards. They scared me. The concept of angels scared me. And also I thought that they were kind of, and this is gonna sound horrible and very generalizing, especially from someone whose channel is called Masculine Intuition Readings. I thought them to be kind of tarot for housewives that don't have the time to actually learn the cards because they're juggling 20 kids and they just want to flip a card every now and then with their gal pals, and don't want to think about things too much. I know that sounds horrible, and that's not at all the way I'm seeing them now, but it's the way I used to think. So I was kind of like, no. Angels immediately gave me this religious connotation. I have a very difficult relationship with religion, so for me it was like concepts like angels, Jesus, the Mother Mary were and sometimes still are very much painful topics for me that I pushed out of my life. So like, these look kind of pretty, especially for the times, because they are kind of ugly, all of those, you know, older oracle cards. But back then, they were kind of like revolutionary and they were kind of pretty. Especially the Magical Unicorns deck by Dorian Virtue was one that always caught my eye and that I secretly wanted to have. but never had the guts to purchase. So I kind of forgot about it. Then a couple years later, I got a boyfriend that was kind of into these angel cards, and he was literally living above a metaphysical store that used to have a great selection of decks. Nowadays, they're kind of meh. But they used to have this wall full of decks, so many decks. And I actually have them right here. That's where I saw. Didn't even know what they were, but I saw for the very first time. These are the Dutch versions, by the way, or the Dutch version. Lucy Cavendish, Jasmine Beckett Griffith decks. And I was like, this is the Shapeshifter's Oracle. And I was like, wow, that's freaking amazing. I have the other one here as well. No, this is the English Shadows and Light Oracle. But, you know, I was like, wow, that looks really, really cool. But then again, as well, so it secretly triggered me. But I didn't get them because I thought, okay, this looks a bit cartoony, and I was used to my very serious, very difficult tarot cards, and I was like, I can't take myself seriously if I buy something like that. So that has been rooted very deeply into my divination practice, if you could even call it that back then, because when I say I've had the decks for 15 years, I'm not saying I've been reading well for 15 years. It wasn't until 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, that I actually started discovering I could read well, and that was because those Lucy Cavendish decks that I bought. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna pull the trigger. A friend of mine, Malou, we were in this metaphysical shop, and she was like, oh, well, you know, don't know if you knew this, but I actually have quite a bunch of decks. And you know what, I think they're fucking awesome, and I think you should get one. So I got the Oracle Shadows and Light in Dutch. I do have it somewhere, but I can't find it now, not on the spot. And I started doing readings with them, and I was like, hey, I can actually perform really good readings with these. So that kind of, it wasn't until I discovered Oracle decks that I got the guts to actually perform readings for people. Because yes, they are easy, but sometimes easy is nice. Sometimes you don't want to decipher symbolism. Sometimes you don't want to delve and dive into esoteric knowledge. Sometimes you don't want to use the Golden Dawn correspondences or read fully intuitively, because reading intuitively is also very much a very energetic practice. So I got that deck. Then I got, let's see if I can find it. I hope I cleared it out, because I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I thought it was, I didn't think it was something that happened within me. I thought it was all Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith's juju. So I was like, I wonder what else they've released. So I got all those decks. And then I was like, and then I found this on Amazon by Schiffer. Yeah, this is still Schiffer. Now they're called Red Feather. The Beautiful Creatures Tarot, 2nd edition. And I was like, a tarot deck, a serious tarot deck with something else than Pamela Colman-Smith's art or the Marseille art style, with Jasmine Beckett Griffith art. So this is that very serious medium, but with the art I like, and then also keywords at the bottom of the card so I can kind of read them like oracles. My mind was blown. And so I got that, started doing readings with that, and when I got confident, I was like, okay, now is the time to do what I've been wanting to do secretly for all these years. And I started studying the Rider-Waite-Smith like crazy. And then I started listening to podcasts, and this is how I get. So I take it all in. And, you know, I became a fucking good reader because that's what I am. I think I'm really good. I think I give great readings, great advice, great insights. And that's when the deck collecting started, because I've always been a collector since I was this little. It started with collecting pictures that my mom drew. Whenever I went to school, she would draw pictures for me. She would promise me to draw pictures for me in my notebook, and I still carry that notebook with me to this day. And I would come home from school and she'd be like, she wouldn't even be like anything. I would just run straight to that notebook to see if actually this picture actually appeared in there, and it did. And that was my first collection. And then it was little dinosaur figurines and stickers and, you know, stuff like that. So I'm a total magpie. And then I discovered, I actually have that deck here as well. Then I started my tarot Instagram, and the first thing I saw was this deck. I didn't get this until recently, and I was like, wow, the spacious tarot. This space is for you, it said on the box inside, and it had this really like almost cartoon-esque yet really cool imagery of places rather than figures, or states of mind rather than people doing shit. And I was like, wow, this is really cool, but I'm not ready for this yet in my reading practice, but this is something I want to keep my eye on. So I started following their account, and soon more followed. And then I found the James R. Eads decks, and it didn't really, well, I did get them. I did get one of them. But it turned out to be a fake copy because I didn't know anything about counterfeit decks back then. So I was like, oh shit, this is not legit. Whoops. I've just decided that I'm gonna use it gonna use it as a tarot sticker deck that I can just paste in my diary or in my journal. But you know, the seed was planted. I found Phoenix and Lotus, which is an American web store where I can't really order because it gets really expensive for me now, but that carry an amazing selection of decks, and it's totally deck inspo because she really has a nose for tarot and oracle decks that add something new. So don't know if you're ever gonna watch this, Jen, but even though I only ordered something from you once, and I probably never will again because shipping is insane, and value added tax fees are insane now as well. You know, you meant so much to me in my tarot collecting journey. And then after a while, I did the oracle cards. I did the tarot, Rider-Waite-Smith, Marseille, Reading with Pips, Thoth, Golden Dawn, all that shit. I've done it all. Tried getting into Itea, but didn't really. I think it's too weird and too old. I started Lenormand, Kipper. I wanted to know it all. And that's, you know, when it kind of dawned on me that apart from an RWS-esque deck, a Thoth tarot deck, or Thoth-esque, and a Marseille deck, and then maybe a couple of others more, you don't really need that many tarot decks. Decks have never really had their distinct voice. I hear a lot of readers going, oh, this deck talks to me in a very friendly way. It's my comfort deck, and this is my soul deck, and this is my shadow work deck. And to me, depending on the system I'm reading with, because I do compartmentalize those, and sometimes pick and choose if I want to, because whatever, there's no official rule book, right? There's never really, what was I saying? I was telling this fucking amazing story and then I just lost it. So I do compartmentalize the Thoth, Rider-Waite-Smith, Marseille. But apart from that, to me and the way I read, a tarot deck is a tarot deck. I don't feel those different distinct voices at all. I mean, it's nice to look at pretty pictures, but I don't hear distinct voices. You could literally give me a deck of white playing cards, blank playing cards, With a Sharpie, you write down the names and the numbers of the cards on there, and I would give you a kick-ass reading with it, or for myself. So when I kind of figured that out, I started culling my collection. I let, apparently mass market decks have zero resale value. That's something I learned. Nobody wants to buy them off you because you can, like, nobody wants to even have them for free. So mass market decks have no resale value. They are really cheap to get. So that's interesting. So and mass market publishers have been releasing more interesting stuff. Indie decks aren't that good of an investment either. It's been very hard for me to sell them at decent prices. Today I made a woman that lives close by to me very happy. She bought 6 indie decks off me for 120 euros, which roughly translates to 22 euros per deck, when there were decks in that lot that I definitely paid more than $60 for, or 60 euros for even. But I just want all the shit out of my life. I no longer want to carry these decks around. I moved from my other house to this temporary house. I had to carry all this shit with me, and that was like the moment of realization for me, when I started noticing, hey, my reading doesn't really change from tarot deck to tarot deck. Another realization was, hey, I carried all these decks with me and I've only used about 10 of them, and the rest are just sitting pretty right behind me. And another thing that got reignited a couple of months ago was my love for Oracle decks. Somewhere deep down inside me, and I feel like it's the same with a lot of people in the tarot sphere, is that little voice that says, tarot is serious and cool, tarot is very witchy, Oracle decks are for dweebs. So the problem is, where I do get bored by tarot decks, I don't with Oracle decks. Even though, yes, I know sometimes they are superficial. Sometimes they're fucking amazing. I have 2 Oracle decks that I would probably, ditch all my tarot decks for. Honestly, like, if I could keep 2 Oracle decks, it would be the one that I made myself, and the Threads of Fate Oracle, and that's all the decks I need, basically. All these Oracle decks, they do have very distinct voices to me, and that's because of the authors, and they put more of their own energy into it, rather than, frankly, a lot of indie artists that are first and foremost artists that think it's cool to design a tarot deck and then, just copy Pamela Coleman Smith's artwork with, foxes where the people used to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, I would like it if artists were a bit more original with their depictions, because I am getting fucking tired of seeing 3 people building a church, but instead of people, it's frogs, or cutesy stick figures. It's getting boring, guys, so change it up. Aspire to be more than just a Pamela Coleman Smith clone. Oracle decks do have those distinct voices to me, and I found that out when I was at the Atlantis, or at the astrology store with Martin in London, and I saw this deck. This couldn't be more of a Levi hates this deck. This is as cringy as it gets, basically. It's the Teen Angel Oracle cards. Totally giving me Silver Raven Wolf, Torida Silver Broomstick Teen Witch vibes, and totally giving me Doreen Virtue from Minis vibes. But I don't know. I felt compelled to get it. I only saw a couple of pictures on the back, and I remember seeing a flip through back then, and I was like, I have to get this. And I have done such fucking awesome readings with these. these are not really for teens per se, honestly. Like, and it's not that soft of a deck. It's actually a pretty intense deck. Heck, a couple days ago, a friend of mine did a reading for me with the Doreen Virtue Romance Angels deck. And I fucking left her house crying because it was that intense and good. And we started, because of that reading, we started talking about, and during that reading, we started talking about subjects that were that deep. So it's not always, not all Oracle decks are dumb, not all Oracle decks are fluffy. Some of them are kind of dumb. There are some like art decks where it's kind of like, hey, we got this collection of paintings from this artist, let's just slap some words on it, where it gets very soulless. But decks, Oracle decks that were created with intention can sometimes carry more power within them than, you know, that quirky Star Wars tarot deck. But, you know, it's a tarot deck, so it's more credible. And if you read Oracle cards, you're kind of dumb and lazy. And like I said, I don't want to think all the time, especially when I'm really busy at work. And I wonder where that snobism comes from. I would love for you guys to, I don't know how many of y'all are gonna see this because I'm not a big tarot cheaper. And I don't really care because I just wanna get out there or whatever the hell I wanna get out. But I have sort of had something break inside me in a good way where it's like, hey, I really don't need any more tarot decks. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get rid of a lot of them because they're not serving me. I even have people on Instagram unfollow me because I got rid of certain tarot decks that apparently no one's ever supposed to get rid of or something. But I think I already like sold a couple. I sold about 10 that I never thought I would, and I don't miss them at all. Because I have a couple of favorites, and frankly, tarot deck wise, most of them are a mass market. I have one really expensive indie deck that is part of my favorites, but most of my favorite tarot decks that I have are a mass market, and fuck me for not being able to find them right now on the spot. Thought I would have them here. I mean, I'm not gonna edit this at all, so if you guys are offended by my bad language, that's a you problem, not a me problem. What is it? My favorites. Oh, it's actually downstairs because I took it with me to my tarot reading, my tarot reading gig. And I hate people that are like, I'm doing a depth year, I'm no longer allowed to buy any new decks. If I see a deck I really fucking want, I'm gonna get it. I'm not doing no depth year, but I am being more honest and open to myself about what I actually want. And like I said in an earlier video, lately I've kind of been digging that angel energy. And you know, as much as it's super uncool and uncredible, I love it, and I think my heart is kind of melting, and I'm turning into the softest man in tarot, where I kind of thought I always had to be the hardest. And yeah, that's just my little story for y'all. Another really cute Oracle deck that I think is highly underrated, and I plug the shit out of it all the time, is the White Fox Oracle by, what's her name again? Zedorus is their name on Instagram, but the artist's actual name is Sabine Cazasus. And Sabine is French. And also another little tarot community pet peeve that I've noticed. I've noticed that things that aren't from the United States don't get any attention, and that's fucking wrong. So open your fucking minds to other creators that are not there for your instant gratification, and that you may have to wait a little bit longer for till it gets to you, but that are also cool as fuck. So the White Fox Oracle is cute as hell. It's just symbols. I love symbols. They inspire me so much. You know, and I can tell you, I can give you just as much of a hard-hitting reading with these as I can with the El Goliath Tarot, for example, which is an awesome deck. Or another deck that I used to have and that I got rid of because I didn't feel it at all. The super expensive Threads of Fate Oracle. No, Threads of Fate Tarot, because I do love their Oracle. I think their tarot is really bad. I think it's just, it's only based on aesthetics. There's no actual symbolism in there at all. People just get it because it looks good. But I can give you, and you know, and there's supposedly a very deep layer to it. I can give you kick-ass reading with the fucking White Fox Oracle. That looks super childish. Colette Baron Reed's decks. Love them. Ain't nothing wrong with them. So, you know, just wanted to put my 2 cents in. And like I said, there is no right and no wrong. Anyone can do whatever the hell they want. But I feel like I'm kind of slowly moving away from a tarot community that is pretty toxic. We have on one side, we have a group of tarot influencers that is solely focused on deck collecting, and once again, nothing wrong with that, but that have no actual content to offer apart from look at this deck. You don't have to be a good reader to look at decks. It's also very unrealistic to have a new deck every day. It's also very unrealistic to pretend like you don't get these decks for free. So there's that part of YouTube. I do use them. I do use their content because it's nice to see decks and what they actually look like before you get them. Then we have sort of a group that's in the middle, and then we have in the absolute middle, we have, you know, cool channels that deliver deck walkthroughs and theory videos and talk videos. And then we have a whole lot of nothing, and then we have readings for the collective, and those are the ones that make the most money, and it just irks me so much. I hate it so much that is where the money's at. Literally deceiving people with your stupid collective readings about the soulmate or the true love of your life, and it's not good, it's not pretty. So there's not that much. I feel like this is the whole pie. I feel like there's only this little sliver of people within that pie that are actually offering quality content that is a healthy mix of stuff, information, discussion, and lessons, basically, and just fun talks, personality. So on that note, I'm going to continue doing me, and I've kind of been getting into Doreen Virtue decks lately, and I don't know why, so more on that later.